Hello, my name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hey, writers and friends, it's Sandy. I'm coming to you from Studio City, the jewel of the San Fernando Valley, and we're still here. 6 days ago, the fire started in Pacific Palisades. That was followed by the Eaton Fire, followed by the Runyon Canyon Fire, followed by the Studio City Fire, and then the Pacific Palisades Fire began to rage into the San Fernando Valley. Thankfully, there were no high winds when the fire was coming into the valley, so the valley was spared. Since today, Monday, has been relatively calm, I keep thinking, I don't know where everyone is going to go. During the day in Pacific Palisades, the neighborhood is filled with hardworking nannies, housekeepers, and landscapers. How are they going to make it? Where do they go to work now? I don't know. How are they going to make a living? And then I start thinking about, do you rebuild at the base or in the wilderness anymore? The Eaton Fire, my goodness, regular people were able to buy into that area 20, 30 years ago, and their houses have appreciated enough that they could have left generational wealth for their kids. It's all gone now. Insurance company canceled on them before the fire. How much can LA take? There is COVID, then the strike, and now the fires. We can do so much remotely now. Will the writers leave? Are the high winds coming back? I guess this is the part where I should say LA will come back stronger than ever, but I don't know. Okay, writers and friends, I promised you an update in the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation. I'll do a quick review of that and a little update. Then there is an interesting new lawsuit afoot. A writer is suing Disney over Moana 2. Now, I received an interesting email from a listener by the name of Coco, which will relate to the review of Blake and Justin. This is what they wrote. Hi, Sandy. I recently listened to your episode about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni controversy and appreciate the thoughtful discussion you brought to the topic. Since the episode aired, I've noticed that additional details and perspectives have come to light, particularly regarding Blake Lively and the New York Times reporting. These updates seem to add complexity to the situation and raise questions about initial narratives. I'm curious if you've had any second thoughts or reflections on the stance shared in your episode, especially regarding giving someone the benefit of the doubt based on identity. It is an important and nuanced conversation, and I'd love to hear your perspective now that more information is available. Great question, Coco. I will always come from the perspective of believing women. I will die on that hill. You may come at me, but that is how I think and feel. I can take the facts and change my opinion. Absolutely. So far, nothing has changed my mind. I also wanted to let you know that domestic violence has been something I became aware of as a little kid, as a young kid. There was a woman in my neighborhood, and the adults in my life would whisper about her, and I would hear that her husband hit her. Even at that age, I could tell that there was judgment in these adult voices, like the woman with 3 kids whose husband gave her black eyes was at fault. It still makes my stomach hurt today. When I got to LA, I did volunteer work in a battered women's shelter. I can't tell you where because Of course, I was sworn to secrecy. Battered women's shelters are always off the grids, so batterers can't find the women and the kids and the other women in the shelter and come try to kill them, basically. But if I've learned anything in this town, you get your story out some way, shape, or form. And I'm not hearing anything to back up what Justin's lawyers have said, including any headless baby dolls on Justin's front porch. Now, why am I talking about headless baby dolls? Well, writers, way back in 1989, Sean Young, the actress from Blade Runner and No Way Out, was accused of leaving an iodine-splashed headless baby doll on James Woods' doorstep. Now, I have never met Sean Young, but I have met James Woods. And first of all, James Woods, you called the police because of the baby doll on your porch. What did you do? Anyways, back to when I met James Woods. He was with a very young girl at a weekend charity event that I was part of. He was mean to the charity staff, and then he disappeared with the young girl into his hotel room. Till it was time to do the main event. Huge stars came out for the day and mingled and entertained the crowds. That's neither here nor there, but that is my James Woods story. And you look back on it now, and Sean, come on the pod. Let's talk about it. You got railroaded. Okay, quick review. Blake Lively starred opposite Justin Baldoni in the 2024 romance drama It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us was adapted by Christy Hall from the Colleen Hoover book of the same name. In August of 2024, It Ends With Us was a box office success. The movie is currently on Netflix if you'd like to see it. I enjoyed the movie. It kept my attention. I think of it as close, adjacent to the Nancy Meyers of domestic violence movie. The plot summary. Lily Bloom relocates to Boston to pursue her lifelong dream of starting her own business. A chance encounter with the charming neurosurgeon Riley Kincaid quickly ignites an intense connection. But as they fall deeply in love, she starts to notice aspects of Riley that remind her of her father's abuse of her mother. When Lily's first love, Atlas Corrigan, unexpectedly re-enters her life, her relationship with Riley is thrown into turmoil, leaving her with an impossible choice. Now, here's the timeline of the Blake and Justin Baldoni situation. On December 20th, 2024, Blake Lively filed a CRD, a California Civil Rights Department complaint against Justin Baldoni and his Wayfarer associates. Wayfarer Writers was the studio that produced the movie, and Sony was distributing it. Back to the timeline. Essentially, just months after the film was released in theaters, Lively took this action against her co-star. I read that before suing someone in a situation like this, you must file the CDR with the state first. So Blake did that on December 20th, 2024, right in time for Christmas. On December 21st, the very next day, a bombshell report came out in the New York Times. The headline, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine." Private messages detailing an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us, by Megan Towie, Michael McIntyre, and Julie Tate. We break down the whole article in the previous episode, and the link is in the show notes. Still, I highly recommend reading it. After that, Justin was dropped from William Morris Agency, the same agency Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, are represented by. Justin's co-host, Liz Plank, announced her departure from their podcast, the Man Enough podcast, which she co-hosted with Baldoni. December 31st, Baldoni sues the New York Times in a libel lawsuit and accuses, now we're only accusing here, not suing at this point, Blake of a hostile takeover of the production. That I am really interested in. And Coco, let's buckle our seats up for that, because we're really going to get into that as soon as the information comes out, and we're going to discuss it. December 31st, Lively files her lawsuit against Baldoni. She is suing Baldoni for, you ready for it? Sexual harassment, retaliation, failure to investigate, prevent, and or remedy harassment, aiding and abetting harassment and retaliation, breach of contract, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence infliction of emotional distress, and false light invasion of privacy. In false light invasion of privacy. Not privacy light, invasion light. That one, I'm going to have to figure out exactly what that means. This is what Blake has said since she filed. I hope that my legal actions helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted. I'm going to do the Brubaker clap and mean it. Also, I must say the support in Hollywood has been pretty pro-Lively this last couple of weeks. Now, you could say Justin is a TV actor who rolled the dice and optioned good material. He got lucky, but he is not a well-known, famous person. Blake parlayed her TV career into becoming a movie star, and she is part of a star couple. Blake and Ryan are the powerful ones in this situation. That said, and how shall I put this? Blake is a female, a woman, a dame. As Rick Moranis said in Streets of Fire, no skirts on the bus. January 2nd, Baldoni's lawyers express intent to sue Lively. They have not sued her yet. In Baldoni's lawsuit against the New York Times, the plaintiff expressed that they are not done. There are other bad actors involved. And make no mistake, this will not be the last lawsuit. Coco, I hope I have answered your question, but I think things are fluid and we're just going to keep going. All that said, writers, there has been another interesting story to pop up. I know. How could that be? Blake Lively fires and a new lawsuit. Last Friday, January 10th, writer Bucky Woodall sued Disney over the movie Moana 2. See, in the beginning of 2003, Woodall claims he provided a screenplay and a trailer for Bucky to former Mandeville Films Director of Development, Jenny Marchick. This is what Woodall is saying. She allegedly inquired about submitting further material, including character designs, production plans, and storyboards, assuring Woodall that she, Jenny, could greenlight the film. At the time, Mandeville Film had a first look deal with Disney. First, you know how I always tell you writers kind of know what production companies are out there, what they want. You know, Mandeville Films is one of those development production companies. Now, it was named after the Mandeville Canyon, which was evacuated on Saturday night because of the Pacific Palisades fires heading its way. I just found that very interesting. Number two, Liar, liar, pants on fire. I'm going to call out Woodall here. I do not know Jenny Marchick, but if she was a director of development, that is a really nice title, but you do not green light films. Green light, writers, means authorizing a script to be made. Heads of studio do that. She can get the script to the people who can green light it, but a director of development is a step in the process. You, writers, absolutely, you want to meet with every director of development you possibly can, but it is a step. They, in turn, have to pitch your idea to the president of development. And if they have a deal, they then pitch it to the studio. Well, maybe Woodall didn't know that the director of development couldn't green light a film. First of all, does Woodall have any friends? Did he notice that the office he was sitting in when he was pitching was tiny and had the most ugly, beat-up furniture possible, but usually nice stuff on the walls? You cannot be in this town for more than 6 months and not know that one meeting with a director of development can get your film made. Now, even if Jenny was this rogue director of development at Mandeville running around town saying, green light, green light, green light to everyone she knows, again, Woodall, if you're getting close to having something made, lawyers get involved, friends advise you. I do not believe Jenny sat in that office and said, please send me your storyboards and I will greenlight your film. I may be misunderstanding, but even the grocery bagger at Ralph's knows that Jenny can't greenlight a film. From an article in The Hollywood Reporter written by Winston Chow, the lawsuit points to similarities between Moana and Bucky. Remember, Bucky is the name of Bucky Woodall's screenplay. One example, both celebrate a reoccurring theme of the Polynesian belief in spiritual ancestors manifesting as animals. Other similarities include the protagonist's journey, starting with a turtle, a plot involving a symbolic necklace, a main character who encounters a god adorned with a giant hook and tattoos, and a giant creature that's concealed within a mountain. Also, there are alleged overlaps between Bucky and Moana 2. Both works, for instance, feature the protagonist searching for an ancient island and undertaking a mission to break a curse. The lawsuit adds Moana and her crew are sucked into a whirlpool-like portal, another dramatic and unique device imagery found in plaintiff's material that could not possibly have been developed by chance or without malicious intentions. I don't know, writers. I've seen a lot of these lawsuits, and I know this with all the fiber of my being. This writer truly believes he has been ripped off. But there is nothing here, there is nothing that I just read where I see Disney is at fault. Everything I read, those are really broad, universal themes or situations to me. Of course, you might have tattoos and portals and turtles and curses and spiritual ancestors who are telling a Polynesian story. Those all seem to go together. Hey, Greg cursed the Brady Bunch when he found an idol in that cave in Hawaii. Nobody's suing the Brady Bunch. Woodall seeks damages equivalent to 2.5% of Moana's gross revenue, or alternatively, at least 10 billion, that's not million, that's a B, as well as a court order barring further infringement of his copyrights. To support arguments that it created the movie on its own, Disney also submitted documents regarding the origin and development of Moana, including story ideas, pitch materials, written research, travel journals, and scripts. Now, he suing, it's Moana, the first movie, and this is Moana 2. I guess he tried to sue for Moana, but he was too late. The time ran out. But since they did the sequel, Moana 2, he was able to step up again. And this time his lawsuit is moving forward. I'm going to keep you posted on this one, but you know me, I am usually on the writer's side 100%. Pay the writer, pay the writer, pay the writer. But I don't think Bucky's going to win this one. Also, writers, how do you feel about naming your screenplay after yourself? I have to say, if I was taking that pitch, the writer would have to come from behind if they were pitching to me and win me over because I don't know. That's a little odd. That just feels off to me. All right. My confession of the week, writers, the confession corner. I bought some dinosaur pajamas for my cat, Sophie Jo. She looks so cute. I can't handle it. I always wanted to get her some. But then I've also thought it is such an undignified thing to do to a cat. Now, if they need the warmth, please sweater those babies up. Sophie Jo, it's got a lot of Maine Coon in her. But the other night, as I sat on the couch with my go bag ready to evacuate, and I didn't even mention this, writers, we had a whole day of evacuation notices that were a mistake. It really shakes you when you get an evacuation notice. And it just does. And when you get like 3 or 4 of them, and of course, then they have to send out another alert after it to tell you that you have to ignore that alert. So say you get 2 alerts, that's 4 alerts. It's a little nerve wracking. So the other night, as I was sitting on my couch with my to-go bag, also known as my Sarah Connor bag, ready to evacuate, I thought, I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm going to get those pajamas. That's it. I'll post a pic if you want. Writers, if you want to confess anything to me, and perhaps we'll talk about it on the next episode, let me know at the Writers Hangout Podcast at gmail.com.
And that's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your positive feedback will help us keep the show going so we can continue bringing you more future episodes. Remember, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards with executive producer Kristin Overn, producer Sandy Adomaitis, and myself, Terry Sampson. And our music is composed by Ethan Stoller.